Welcome to Film Finance, the case file archive for the financial history of Hollywood. On this channel, we exclusively analyze films released more than 10 years ago, opening the closed books on their landmark financial stories. Today, we examine the production budget, the box office performance, and the long-term financial outcome of this noteworthy production. Let's open another case file.
Welcome to Film Finance, the case file archive for the financial history of Hollywood. Before we open this case file, for everyone asking where to watch Brave today, the film is preserved and widely available for streaming on Disney+, a testament to its enduring status within the studio's canon. The ability to easily access the movie is critical for any modern analysis, so now that you know where to watch this landmark film, let's delve into its historic creation and financial journey. In 2012, Pixar Animation Studios, the undisputed titan of digital animation and a critical and commercial juggernaut, embarked on one of its most significant creative gambles. This case file covers that gamble. The 2012 animated feature, Brave, more than just another entry in a flawless filmography, Brave was a conscious and deliberate act of evolution for the studio. It was Pixar's first fairy tale, a stark departure from the modern-day settings of buddy comedies and suburban superhero sagas that had defined its brand. It was also, pivotally, the studio's first film to feature a female protagonist. Helming this ambitious project were director Mark Andrews and Brenda Chapman, with Chapman's initial vision being a foundational element of the film's celebrated departure from convention. This directorial leadership was tasked with delivering a film that was both unmistakably Pixar yet entirely new, a challenge that would define the film's production narrative. For any comprehensive movie breakdown of Brave 2012, understanding this foundational shift in studio strategy is paramount. The story is set against the misty, myth-laden backdrop of the Scottish Highlands, a location rendered with breathtaking, almost photorealistic detail. The plot summary introduces us to Princess Merida, voiced with fiery conviction by Macdonald. A fiercely independent and highly skilled archer, Merida finds herself shackled by the ancient traditions of her kingdom, particularly the prospect of an arranged marriage. In a desperate act of rebellion against her mother, the elegant and duty-bound Queen Elinor, voiced by the incomparable Thompson, Merida seeks help from an eccentric witch, inadvertently unleashing a beastly curse that threatens to destroy her family and her kingdom. This central conflict, a deeply personal and often painful power struggle between a mother and daughter, provided a level of emotional complexity rarely seen in animated hit movies, making the film an instant subject of discussion among movie lovers and critics alike. The supporting cast, featuring Billy Connolly's boisterous King Fergus and Julie Walters' cryptic witch, rounded out a stellar ensemble of Scottish and British talent that lent the film an unimpeachable authenticity. The official trailer for Brave 2012 was a masterclass in marketing, carefully balancing the film's various appeals. It showcased sweeping, epic landscapes, heart-pounding action sequences of Merida on horseback, and the ominous folkloric magic at the heart of the curse. Yet, it also hinted at the powerful emotional core of the mother-daughter relationship, promising a story with more weight than the typical summer blockbuster movies. Arriving on its June 22, 2012 release date, Brave 2012 entered a marketplace of titans. Its primary competitors were not just other animated features but two of the largest cinematic events of the decade, Marvel's The Avengers and Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises. Within its own genre of animated fantasy, it drew immediate comparisons to similar movies like Disney's own Tangled 2010 and DreamWorks' How to Train Your Dragon 2010. However, Brave distinguished itself with a darker, more atmospheric tone and a narrative focus that felt more akin to a historical fable than a light-hearted adventure. A complete full movie explained analysis reveals that this unique positioning was both its greatest strength and its most significant commercial variable. The film was not just another princess story. It was an attempt to redefine what a Pixar story could be, making its ultimate box office breakdown a subject of intense industry scrutiny. The performance of this fan-favorite movie would serve as a barometer for the studio's ability to successfully launch original, female-led intellectual property on a global scale. But behind the sweeping cinematic landscapes and the intricate tapestry of its narrative lies the cold, hard calculus of its financial architecture. The production budget for Brave 2012 was estimated to be a formidable $185 million. In the contexto farli 2010 animation, this figure was at the high end of the industry standard but entirely in line with Pixar's comet cutting, edge-technology and the iterative story development. For comparison, it was slightly more up $185 million. In the contexto farli 2010 animation, this figure was at the high end of the industry standard but entirely in line with Pixar's comet cutting. Edge-technology and the iterative story development. For comparison, it was slightly more up $175 million but less than the technically complex Cars 2 $200 million. This budget represented a monumental studio investment entirely financed internally by the Disney-Pixar powerhouse. The film's financing structure was a closed loop. There were no outside co-financiers or bond companies. Think of Pixar's financing mechanism at the time not as a startup seeking venture capital, but as a government mint printing its own currency. The funds were allocated from the massive war chest of the Walt Disney Company, making the film's success a direct matter of shareholder value. This immense upfront cost immediately set a high bar for the film's financial performance and heavily influenced its global gross forecast. A general industry rule of thumb is that a studio needs to make back roughly double its production budget at the box office just to break even, after accounting for the significant P&A, prints and advertising spend and the theater's revenue cut. For Brave, this meant the film had to cross a projected $400 million worldwide simply to enter profitable territory. The studio's internal global gross forecast was undoubtedly far more ambitious, likely targeting the $600 to $700 million range to declare it a resounding success. Every dollar of its box office performance was tracked against these projections. The film's primary monetization streams were in order of importance. The initial global theatrical release, followed by premium home video sales, Blu-ray and DVD, and finally, television and streaming licensing. This financial scaffolding is crucial to understanding the film's place in Hollywood history, as its success was measured by two core themes: its immediate box office numbers and its long-term impact on the company's equity stake valuation. The ROI, return on investment, for Brave 2012 could not be calculated on ticket sales alone. The true measure of its success hinged on its ability to create a new, durable piece of intellectual property. A successful run would mean Merida joining the pantheon of Disney princesses, a multi-billion-dollar brand in its own right. Her inclusion would generate decades of revenue from merchandise, theme park appearances, and potential sequels, dramatically increasing the long-term equity stake valuation of the entire Disney Corporation. Therefore, the financial risk associated with Brave's $185 million budget wasn't merely the potential loss of the initial investment. It was the opportunity cost of failing to establish a new, female-led franchise. The film's final box office total of $540 million worldwide was a solid commercial success, delivering positive profitability metrics. However, its true financial story is written in the enduring value of Merida as a character, proving that the initial financial risk paid dividends far beyond the opening weekend. From meme references of its most iconic scene to viral fan clips that sparked massive social media reactions, Brave's cultural impact rivals any competitor's pop culture influence, creating fan engagement that lives on through TikTok clips and Reddit theories. Beyond the box office receipts, the true legacy of a film like Brave 2012 is etched into the cultural conversation, and its footprint has proven to be remarkably deep and enduring. The film arrived at a pivotal moment, a time when conversations about representation and female agency in media were gaining significant momentum. Merida, with her untamed hair and defiant spirit, became an instant icon not of princesshood but of self-determination. Her declaration, "I'll be shooting for my own hand," became one of the film's most powerful fan quotes, an instantly shareable mantra for a generation of viewers who saw their own desire for independence reflected in her struggle. This line and the scene it accompanies has been endlessly repurposed in memes and GIFs, cementing its place in the digital lexicon and acting as a shorthand for rebellion against outdated expectations. The film's most significant cultural impact stems directly from its protagonist. Merida was a deliberate break from the established Disney princess archetype. She had no romantic interest, her central conflict was with her mother, and her ultimate goal was not marriage but the preservation of her identity and family. This narrative choice sparked intense fan reactions and critical discourse that continues to this day. Online forums and early social media platforms were flooded with discussions dissecting this new model of heroism. This ongoing dialogue constitutes one of the film's most important viral moments, not a single flash in the pan, but a slow, sustained burn of analytical fan-driven content that has kept the film relevant for over a decade. As new generations discover Brave 2012, on streaming, these discussions are reignited, now taking place in the form of analytical TikTok clips and deep-dive essays on platforms like Reddit, where users continue to debate the nuances of Merida and Eleanor's relationship. No discussion of the film's legacy is complete without examining the behind-the-scenes narrative, which itself became a major point of cultural discussion. The replacement of the film's original director, Brenda Chapman, who conceived the story as a personal love letter to her own daughter with Mark Andrews partway through production, became a well-publicized and controversial event. This story added a complex layer to the film's reception, with many viewers and critics analyzing the finished product through the lens of this production turmoil. It fueled countless articles and video essays about creative control and female voices in animation, making the very making of Brave 2012 a cultural touchstone in conversations about the inner workings of Hollywood. Furthermore, the film is rich with the kind of details that fuel long-term fan engagement. A dedicated search for Easter eggs explained reveals a treasure trove of hidden nods, classic Pixar tradition. In The Witch's Cottage, eagle-eyed viewers can spot a wooden carving of Sully from Monsters, Inc., as well as a carving of the iconic Pizza Planet truck, a staple of Pixar lore. These discoveries have spawned elaborate fan theories, most notably the Pixar theory, which attempts to link every Pixar film into a single, shared universe. According to these Reddit theories, the witch in Brave is actually Boo from Monsters, Inc., who has learned to travel through time and space using doors in a desperate search for her friend Sully. These Easter eggs, far from being simple fun facts, are the narrative glue for a vast, fan-created mythology that gives the film a life far beyond its own runtime. The intricate Celtic knotwork, the design of the mystical will-o'-the-wisps, and the authentic cultural references to Scottish folklore all contribute to a world that feels both expansive and lived in, inviting endless analysis and ensuring that Brave remains one of Pixar's most rewatchable and discussed classic movies. This enduring cultural footprint, built on iconic moments, behind-the-scenes intrigue, and deep-seated fan theories, is not merely a matter of historical curiosity. It has a direct and measurable financial value that continues to pay dividends for Disney. This is the concept of engagement-driven revenue. The film's initial box office run was finite, but its cultural resonance is not. Every time a nostalgic TikTok clip of Merida's archery skills goes viral, or a new generation discovers the Pixar theory on Reddit, it functions as organic marketing, driving viewers to Disney+. This sustained relevance ensures the film remains a valuable asset in the streaming wars, contributing to subscriber retention and acquisition long after its theatrical run. The film's status as a cultural artifact commands a significant IP licensing premium. When Disney licenses Merida for a product, they are not just selling a character. They are selling the idea of independence, courage, and a specific, beloved story. This allows them to charge a premium over less culturally significant characters. This entire ecosystem of fan-created content represents a staggering long-term viral marketing ROI. The tens of thousands of hours of YouTube analyses, fan art, and social media discussions are, in effect, free advertising that has been running for over a decade. If a studio were to pay for this level of sustained brand exposure, the cost would run into the hundreds of millions of dollars. Instead, this value is generated organically, directly translating into shareholder value. This phenomenon also creates a CPM uplift from engagement. Content creators who make videos about Brave find their content commands a higher CPM cost per mil or the price advertisers pay per 1,000 views because the audience is self-selected, passionate, and highly engaged. For Disney, this means the ecosystem surrounding its IP is more valuable and attractive to brand partners. Key stat: a film's enduring cultural impact can increase its lifetime value (LTV) by an estimated 30–40% through ongoing licensing and engagement-driven streaming. This enduring brand partnership value is immense. A modern brand seeking to align with themes of female empowerment might pay a seven-figure sum for a major collaboration with the Brave IP, a value derived almost entirely from the cultural conversations the film started in 2012. From a momentous victory at the Academy Awards to a Golden Globe win that solidified its status, the critical reception for Brave was a vital chapter in its story, earning it a stellar Rotten Tomatoes score and cementing its place as one of the most discussed animated films of its decade. The wave of awards buzz surrounding the film was not just a byproduct of its release. It was a crucial component of its overall strategy designed to bestow a level of prestige that would echo for years. The initial critic reviews for Brave 2012 painted a complex and fascinating picture of a studio in transition. On one hand, the film was universally lauded for its staggering technical achievement. Critics hailed the visuals as a new benchmark in computer animation, with particular praise for the physics of Merida's wild, curly hair and the lush, atmospheric rendering of the Scottish Highlands. Roger Ebert in his review noted the film's visual beauty and the genuine emotional weight of the mother-daughter story, calling it a departure that was both brave and refreshing. However, a significant portion of critic reviews pointed to a perceived narrative imbalance. While the first act, establishing Merida's fierce independence and her conflict with tradition, was widely praised as powerful and groundbreaking, many felt the second act's turn into a story about a literal bear curse felt like a safer, more conventional Disney trope. This created a fascinating critical divide. The film ultimately landed a Rotten Tomatoes score of 78%, earning it a certified fresh rating. This score perfectly encapsulates the overall consensus. A film that was widely admired and liked, but one that fell just short of the unanimous, near-perfect masterpieces like Toy Story 3 or Up that had immediately preceded it. A full movie breakdown must acknowledge this nuance. The film was a critical success but a qualified one that sparked more debate than consensus, which in itself contributed to its lasting legacy. Despite this critical debate, the film's awards campaign was a resounding success. The awards buzz began to build following its premiere and culminated in major nominations across the industry's most prestigious bodies. The film secured the Golden Globe win for Best Animated Feature Film, a significant victory that positioned it as the frontrunner for the industry's highest honor. The ultimate validation came at the 85th Academy Awards. In a highly competitive year for animation, which included Disney's own critically adored Wreck-It Ralph, Tim Burton's Frankenweenie, and Laika's masterpiece Paranorman, Brave took home the Oscar for Best Animated Feature. This win was monumental. It was a powerful industry endorsement of Pixar's gamble on a new kind of story, validating their decision to venture into the realm of folklore and place a complex female relationship at its core. The contrast between the solid but not flawless critic reviews and the strong audience scores tells another part of the story. Public audience ratings on platforms like CinemaScore gave the film a solid A, indicating that general moviegoers connected deeply with the film's emotional heart, its humor, and its heroine. For audiences, the narrative quibbles of some critics were secondary to the powerful and relatable story of family and identity. These positive audience scores, combined with its ultimate Oscar triumph, have ensured that Brave is remembered not for its critical debate, but as an award-winning, top-rated movie that stands as a must-watch film within the Pixar canon, its victory at the Oscars securing its permanent place in animation history. From a balance sheet perspective, this critical acclaim and awards hardware were far more than just accolades. They were powerful financial instruments that significantly enhanced the film's profitability. The financial calculus begins with the award campaign cost. For a major animated feature in 2012, a comprehensive For Your Consideration campaign, including industry trade ads, screener mailings, and targeted events, would have been a significant line item. Estimates suggest such a campaign would cost between $10 million and $15 million. This was not an incidental expense, it was a strategic investment aimed at activating a powerful ROI multiplier. The Oscar win, in particular, acted as a massive ROI multiplier on the studio's initial investment. While a traditional post-award revenue boost at the box office is more pronounced for films still in theaters, for Brave, the financial impact was most felt in the home video market and in its long-term licensing value. The Academy Award-winning film tagline is a seal of quality that drives sales for decades. This prestige acts as a critical acclaim multiplier, elevating the film's perceived value in every subsequent negotiation. For example, when Disney negotiates television rights or international streaming deals, Brave is not just another animated movie in their catalog, it is an Oscar-winning film. This allows the studio to engage in prestige pricing, commanding a higher fee than a non-award-winning contemporary. That singular Oscar win likely translated into tens of millions of dollars in additional revenue over the film's lifetime through these enhanced deals. Key stat: an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature historically adds an estimated 15–25% to a film's long-term lifetime value (LTV) through enhanced licensing and catalog prestige. The initial $15 million campaign cost, therefore, was not a gamble but a high-yield investment. Ultimately, the combination of strong reviews and major awards served as an immense critical acclaim multiplier, solidifying the film's status as a premium asset in Disney's portfolio. This multiplier effect justifies the initial production budget and marketing spend, ensuring that the film's legacy is not just cultural but financial. Every dollar spent to secure that Oscar was a dollar invested in transforming Brave from a successful film into a permanent, high-value piece of intellectual property, paying dividends for shareholders for generations to come. As Brave cements its film legacy with franchise potential that rivals any competitor's universe expansion, fans speculate on sequels and spin-off ideas while the director's next projects and upcoming movies hint at a thrilling future. To assess the verdict on a film like Brave, 2012, over a decade after its release, is to look beyond its initial box office and awards. It requires an examination of its profound and lasting cinematic impact, its influence on the very DNA of animated storytelling, and the persistent fan conversation surrounding what might come next. The ultimate legacy of Brave is not merely that of a successful Pixar film but that of a cinematic milestone that fundamentally altered the trajectory of its studio and the broader animation landscape. Its most significant and undeniable legacy is its role as a trailblazer. In 2012, Brave shattered a long-standing Pixar tradition by being the studio's very first film centered on a female protagonist. This was not a minor adjustment, it was a seismic shift. Princess Merida was not a sidekick, a love interest, or part of an ensemble cast. She was the engine of the narrative, the focal point of the conflict, and the agent of her own destiny. This singular act of placing a complex, flawed, and fiercely independent young woman at the forefront of a major blockbuster set a powerful precedent. The film's success served as a proof of concept for the entire industry, demonstrating a massive global appetite for female-led animated adventures. The path for subsequent phenomena like Disney's Frozen 2013, which would take the concept of sisterhood and female agency to unprecedented heights, was undeniably paved in part by the groundwork laid by Brave just 1 year prior. Its film legacy is therefore written in the successes of the films that followed, from Mona to Raya and The Last Dragon, each building on the foundation that Merida's story established. Beyond its protagonist, the film's second great legacy is its emotional core, the complex, often fraught but ultimately loving relationship between a mother and her daughter. Before Brave, the dominant emotional relationships in major American animation were typically centered on father-son dynamics, romantic pairings, or platonic friendships. The decision to make the central conflict a generational and ideological battle between Merida and Queen Elinor was revolutionary. It explored themes of expectation, communication, and the pain of misunderstanding with a maturity and nuance that resonated deeply with audiences of all ages. This focus on a raw, authentic maternal relationship would become a new creative wellspring for Pixar, with its thematic echoes clearly visible in later works like the celebrated Turning Red, 2022. A complete movie breakdown of Pixar's evolution shows a clear before and after Brave when it comes to the complexity of family dynamics the studio was willing to explore. This potent legacy naturally fuels immense fan anticipation and a constant stream of discussion about its franchise potential. Unlike other Pixar properties such as Toy Story or The Incredibles, which ended with clear narrative hooks for continuation, the ending explained of Brave presents a story that is emotionally complete. The curse is broken, the mother and daughter are reconciled, and the kingdom is united. This resolution is narratively satisfying but commercially challenging, which is the most likely reason a direct sequel has never materialized. However, this has not stopped fans from generating a host of rumored plotlines and sequel concepts. The most popular of these theories imagine a story where Merida, now a respected leader, must navigate the political complexities of ruling as a queen, forcing her to reconcile her independent spirit with the heavy crown of duty. This potential narrative would be a natural continuation of the first film's themes, exploring whether a person who fought so hard for her own freedom can effectively lead others. The conversation around a franchise roadmap doesn't end with sequels. The rich world of ancient Scotland, populated with mystical curses, warring clans, and enigmatic characters, is ripe for universe expansion through spin-off ideas. The most frequently demanded spin-off is a prequel or Disney Plus series centered on the enigmatic witch. Her cabin, filled with bear-themed carvings and a mysterious door, is the fuel for the most famous Pixar fan theory, suggesting she is a time-traveling Boo from Monsters, Inc. A spin-off could explore her origin, the source of her magic, and her connection to the ancient Prince Mordu, providing a deeper dive into the lore that was only hinted at in the original film. Another popular spin-off idea involves a comedic series focused on the misadventures of the identical triplets Harris, Hubert, and Hamish, whose transformation into bears provided much of the film's levity. Such a project would allow the studio to explore the world of Brave 2012 from a more lighthearted angle. The careers of the film's directors also form part of its extended legacy. Brenda Chapman, the film's original visionary, went on to direct films like Come Away, continuing her exploration of fairy tales and complex family themes. Mark Andrews, who steered the film to completion, lent his action-oriented sensibilities to projects like Genndy Tartakovsky's critically acclaimed series Primal, showcasing the same kinetic energy he brought to Brave's most thrilling sequences. The paths of the director's next projects underscore the creative DNA that made Brave so unique. While there are no official upcoming movies confirmed within the Brave universe, the conversation never truly dies, a testament to the enduring power of the world and characters Pixar created. The film's lasting impact is that of a powerful, self-contained story that, paradoxically, created a world so compelling that audiences refuse to let it be a closed book. From a financial perspective, the final verdict on Brave 2012 is a case study in long-term asset management, where the IP's true value is revealed not through a proliferating franchise, but through a meticulous cumulative yield analysis of its enduring, high-quality brand equity. The film's financial legacy is less like the explosive, sequel-driven model of a Shrek or a Despicable Me and more akin to owning a single, priceless masterpiece that continuously appreciates in value and generates consistent, premium returns. To understand its total worth, we must move beyond the initial box office and analyze every stream of legacy revenue streams it has generated over the past decade. The cornerstone of this analysis begins with a final look at its long-term franchise ROI, or in this case, its long-term single-asset ROI. With a production budget of $185 million and a global box office of $540 million, the initial theatrical run was a solid success, returning roughly 2.9 times its budget before marketing costs. However, this was just the first and arguably least significant ROI multiplier. The home video market of the early 2010s was still incredibly lucrative, and Brave, boosted by its Oscar win, became a must-own title. It is estimated that its Blu-ray and DVD sales generated an additional 300 million in revenue globally, providing a second massive wave of profit. But the single greatest ROI multiplier for Brave was a strategic decision that had little to do with the film itself: Merida's official induction into the Disney Princess line. This move was a financial masterstroke. The Disney Princess brand is a multi-billion-dollar global behemoth, and integrating Merida into this pantheon was like plugging the film's IP directly into a perpetual motion money machine. Her unique persona as the rebellious, self-reliant princess added a new dimension to the lineup, and her merchandise from dolls and costumes to school supplies began generating revenue on a scale that a standalone film could never achieve. This integration is the key to understanding the film's total IP lifecycle value. The character of Merida became an evergreen asset. Her presence in Disney theme parks around the world, in stage shows, and in special events provides a continuous stream of revenue and keeps the character in the public consciousness. This constant visibility drives viewers back to Disney+, where Brave serves as a pillar of the Pixar collection, contributing to subscriber retention. When all these revenue streams are aggregated in a cumulative yield analysis, theatrical, home video, television licensing, merchandise, and theme park integration, the true financial picture emerges. Key stat: while a typical successful film might see its lifetime earnings be 3-4x its production budget, an IP integrated into a mega brand like the Disney Princess line can see that multiplier climb to 10x or higher over its first decade. Conservatively, the total IP lifecycle value of the Brave property, powered almost entirely by the Merida brand, can be projected to be in the range of $1.5 to $2 billion. This brings us to the critical question of sequel investment risk. From a financial standpoint, the decision not to produce a sequel is a fascinating example of strategic risk management. A sequel, tentatively titled Brave 2, would carry an immense financial burden. With inflation and the rising cost of top-tier animation, a sequel produced today would likely command a budget north of $225 million. With a global marketing spend of another $150 million, the film would need to gross over $750 million worldwide just to be considered a comparable success to the first, a very high bar. More importantly, there's the creative risk. If a sequel failed to capture the emotional magic of the original, it could tarnish the brand, potentially devaluing the very IP that has become so profitable. A poorly received sequel would not be an ROI multiplier, it could be a brand diluter, negatively impacting merchandise sales and the character's prestige. In this context, the lack of a sequel is not a sign of failure but a sign of a different kind of success. Disney and Pixar effectively determined that the ROI multiplier from Merida's integration into the Princess line provided a safer, more sustainable path to profitability than the high-risk, high-reward gamble of a sequel. A cumulative yield analysis of the Toy Story franchise shows how each successful sequel acts as a massive ROI multiplier, reigniting the entire brand. For Brave, that function was outsourced to the Princess brand. The final financial verdict is clear. Brave represents a uniquely successful investment. It proved Pixar could launch a female-led original IP, it won the industry's highest awards, and it created a character valuable enough to be drafted into one of the most lucrative brands in entertainment history. Its franchise lifecycle profitability is not defined by volume, but by the premium, enduring, and diversified value of a single, powerful asset. To truly understand the lasting legacy and financial architecture of Brave, we must descend into the narrative's very core, dissecting the secrets of its conclusion and the vibrant ecosystem of fan speculation it created. This is where a film transcends its runtime and becomes a living piece of mythology. We will now pull back the tapestry of the film's final act, but be warned, a full discussion of the Brave ending explained requires a deep dive into major spoilers. If you have yet to experience this cinematic journey, consider this your final warning, as we are about to unravel every crucial detail of its climax, its thematic revelations, and its powerful, game-changing conclusion. The final act of Brave is a masterclass in escalating stakes, bringing together every thematic thread into a desperate, heart-pounding race against time. The entire Brave ending explained hinges on a single cryptic clue from the witch. To break the spell, Merida must mend the bond torn by pride before the second sunrise. For much of the film, Merida and the audience operate under the literal assumption that this means physically stitching together the tapestry she slashed with her sword, a tapestry depicting her family, a symbol of the very unity she rejected. This quest to repair the cloth becomes the driving force of the film's latter half, a tangible goal in a world of chaotic magic. However, the true genius of the narrative and the central pillar of the Brave ending explained is that this literal interpretation is a misdirection, a classic fairy tale riddle where the answer is emotional, not physical. The climax properly begins as the second dawn approaches. Merida has successfully retrieved the mended tapestry and rushes back to the castle, where Queen Elinor in her bear form is being hunted by King Fergus and the visiting lords, who believe she is the ancient demon bear Mordu. This sequence is fraught with tension. Merida must protect her mother from her own father, a tragic irony that underscores the deep schism the curse has created within the family. Her desperate cries of "she's my mother" fall on deaf ears, forcing Merida to cross swords with her own father to defend Elinor. It is in this moment that the true Mordu appears, a monstrous, scarred bear whose legend has haunted the kingdom for generations. The ensuing battle is not just a spectacular action set piece, it is a critical thematic parallel. Elinor, driven by a ferocious maternal instinct she never knew she possessed, battles Mordu to protect her daughter. In doing so, she demonstrates a form of bravery that transcends her regal composure, mirroring Merida's own physical courage. When Elinor triumphs, causing a massive standing stone to crush the demon bear, the spirit of the cursed prince is momentarily released, giving a silent, grateful nod before vanishing. This is the first major revelation in the Brave ending explained. Mordu was not a monster but a victim of the exact same selfish pride that tempted Merida, serving as a dark reflection of what her family could have become had the bond not been mended. With Mordu defeated, the sun begins to rise. In a panic, Merida drapes the stitched-together tapestry over her bear mother. The kingdom holds its breath, and nothing happens. This moment of failure is perhaps the most crucial beat in the entire film. The literal solution, the physical mending, was not enough. The magic, as the film reveals, required something deeper. This is the film's twist ending, not a plot twist in the traditional sense, but a thematic one. The solution wasn't a MacGuffin, it was an act of genuine contrition and emotional repair. Sobbing over her mother's furry body, fearing she has lost her forever, Merida delivers a heartfelt apology. "I'm sorry, Mom," she cries, "this is all my fault, I want you back." In that moment of pure, unadulterated humility, she finally mends the bond torn by pride. The magic activates and Elinor is transformed back into her human form, healed and whole. The true Brave ending explained is this profound emotional lesson: the tapestry was only ever a symbol. The real magic was in the apology, the act of seeing past one's own pride to recognize the pain of another. This is the heart of all the spoilers, that the epic quest was, in the end, an internal journey of emotional growth. The film's resolution flows directly from this emotional climax. The lords of the other clans, having witnessed this incredible event and moved by Merida's impassioned speech earlier in the film about breaking with tradition, agree to allow their children to marry whomever they choose in their own time. This is the societal ramification of Merida's personal victory. She did not just save her mother, she fundamentally changed the future of her kingdom, earning her independence not through selfish rebellion but through wisdom and empathy. The film's final, beautiful scene shows Merida and a more relaxed Queen Elinor riding their horses together, their relationship not just restored but reborn. They are now partners, a mother and daughter who understand and respect one another. This image is the final, perfect punctuation on the Brave ending explained, a visual metaphor for the new harmony they have found. Of course, no modern blockbuster is complete without a button, and Brave features a short but significant post-credit scene. In it, the castle guard discovers that the witch's crow has made a delivery, the massive order of wood carvings that King Fergus inadvertently purchased from her. It's a light-hearted, comedic moment that serves two functions. First, it provides a final laugh. Second, and more importantly for franchise speculation, it confirms that the witch is still out there, her magic is real, and her story is not necessarily over. This seemingly throwaway post-credit scene became a foundational piece of evidence for a universe of Brave fan theories. The most famous and elaborate of all Brave fan theories is, without question, the Pixar theory. This sprawling unified theory posits that every Pixar film exists within the same universe across a vast and complex timeline. In this theory, Brave is a cornerstone. The theory argues that the witch is, in fact, an elderly Boo from Monsters, Inc. The evidence, as fans meticulously documented, is compelling. The witch's obsession with bear carvings is a nod to Sully. A carving of Sully himself is clearly visible on a log in her workshop. Most pivotally, when she magically disappears through a door, fans noted its similarity to the door-based portal technology from Monsters, Inc. The theory suggests that after Sully left her, Boo spent her entire life trying to rediscover the magic that would let her reunite with her kitty, eventually learning to harness the power of the Will-O'-the-Wisps and travel through time using enchanted wooden doors. This theory reframes the entire film. The witch is no longer a simple plot device, she is a tragic, time-traveling figure on a quest for a lost friend. This single fan theory elevates the film's lore, connecting it to a grander narrative and giving its Easter eggs profound meaning. It's one of the most persistent and beloved Brave fan theories because it gives the story a sense of cosmic significance. Other Brave fan theories focus on the film's internal mythology. One popular theory explores the nature of the Will-O'-the-Wisps, suggesting they are not merely benevolent guides but the spirits of the dead leading individuals toward their fate. This adds a layer of fatalism to the story, suggesting Merida's journey was preordained. This interpretation fueled rumored plotlines for potential sequels where Merida might learn to communicate with or even control these spirits, delving deeper into the magical history of her kingdom. This concept of a deeper magic is a key component of the franchise's potential for universe expansion. The film only scratches the surface of its world's lore, the history of Mordu's lost kingdom, the origin of the witch's magic, the political landscape of the other clans. A sequel or spin-off could explore any of these avenues. Rumored plotlines for sequels have often centered on Merida, now a queen, having to face a new magical threat or a political challenge that tests her newfound wisdom. Would she be forced into a magical conflict that makes her mother's curse look tame? This is the kind of question that keeps fan anticipation high for a continuation. The film's conclusion, while emotionally complete, left the door to its world tantalizingly ajar, creating a perfect storm of narrative satisfaction and endless potential for universe expansion. From an investor's perspective, analyzing the financial implications of a film's conclusion is a critical exercise. The ending is not just a narrative device, it is the final sales pitch for the IP's future, and in this regard, the conclusion of Brave is a fascinating and complex case study. Its impact on the long-term franchise IP worth is paradoxical, shaping a unique and highly profitable path for the property. First, we must assign a sequel potential score. Based purely on the narrative closure of its ending, Brave receives a sequel potential score of low. This may seem counterintuitive for a successful film, but the emotional completeness of the Brave ending explained presents an enormous creative risk of the ending. Merida and Elinor's core conflict is resolved in such a satisfying and definitive way that inventing a new, equally powerful emotional struggle would be incredibly difficult. A forced sequel could easily feel contrived, risking the dilution of the original's power. From a storytelling perspective, the arc is finished. A studio executive in 2012 looking at this closed loop would recognize that the most obvious path for content monetization, a direct, numbered sequel, was fraught with peril. The risk-return ratio of a sequel would be daunting. A budget exceeding $200 million for a story with no clear narrative hook is a tough proposition for any studio. However, and this is the crucial financial insight, while the ending lowered the direct sequel potential, it dramatically increased the property's standalone IP valuation. The emotionally perfect ending cemented Merida as a fully realized, self-actualized icon. Her story is complete, powerful, and most importantly, self-contained. This makes her an incredibly clean and potent asset for licensing and branding. She does not require a Part 2 to be understood or admired. This narrative integrity was the key that unlocked the most lucrative avenue of content monetization imaginable. Her induction into the Disney Princess line, this strategic move effectively bypassed the risky sequel model. Instead of investing another $200 million into a new film, Disney integrated a perfected asset into a multi-billion-dollar brand, a move that likely increased the total IP lifecycle value of the Brave property by an estimated $500 million to $1 billion over its first decade. The ending, by being so good, made the character a more valuable commodity. This allows us to speculate on the potential franchise roadmap as perceived by Disney executives at the time. They were faced with two paths. Roadmap A would have been the traditional route: greenlight a sequel, invest heavily and hope to replicate the original's success, a path with a high risk-return ratio of a sequel. Roadmap B was the path they chose. Cap the main story, declare it a classic, and pivot to a different form of content monetization. This roadmap focused on leveraging the now iconic character across multiple lower-risk platforms. This includes merchandise, theme park integration, and, importantly, exploring the lore through ancillary content. The persistent Brave fan theories, particularly about the witch, provided a ready-made blueprint for potential Disney Plus series. A prequel series about the witch and the legend of Mordu, for example, would be a form of content monetization that expands the universe and deepens the franchise IP worth without tampering with the original film's perfect ending. Ultimately, the ending of Brave was a masterstroke of both storytelling and, inadvertently, long-term financial planning. It created a character so beloved and a story so complete that it became more valuable as a singular artifact than as the first chapter in a sprawling saga. The film's conclusion is a powerful lesson in IP valuation. Sometimes the highest franchise equity valuation is achieved not by asking what's next, but by perfecting what is. The franchise IP worth of Brave is not anchored in the promise of future installments, but in the enduring power of its singular, perfectly told story, making it one of the most uniquely successful assets in the modern Disney portfolio. The story of Brave's financial and cultural success extends far beyond the silver screen, deep into the tangible world of official merchandise and the passionate realm of fan engagement. For a media giant like Disney, a film is not merely a 90-minute narrative. It is the launchpad for a sprawling commercial ecosystem. The merchandise hype surrounding Brave 2012 was immediate and intense, leveraging the film's unique aesthetic and instantly iconic protagonist to create a powerful new product line that continues to generate revenue to this day. A full movie breakdown would be incomplete without analyzing this crucial pillar of the film's long-term success story. Upon its release, the first wave of official merchandise flooded retail shelves, anchored by the character of Merida. The most coveted movie collectibles were, unsurprisingly, the high-quality dolls. The classic Merida doll became a bestseller, notable for its faithful recreation of her signature fiery red hair and detailed teal gown. Alongside the classic doll, Disney also released a Merida and Angus set, featuring the princess with her loyal Clydesdale horse, tapping into the film's spirit of adventure. Beyond dolls, the merchandise line included a vast array of products targeting the film's young audience: archery sets, themed playsets replicating the castle and the witch's cottage, and a full line of themed apparel from dresses to t-shirts. The original movie posters, featuring the striking image of Merida with her bow drawn against the rugged Highland backdrop, quickly became sought-after collector's items. Compared to the merchandise strategies for other animated films of the era, the line for Brave was particularly focused on action and empowerment, with fewer traditional princess accessories and more items centered on archery and exploration. However, the film's most enduring legacy in this arena is found in the organic world of fan engagement. Merida's distinct look, the untamed hair, the simple but elegant dress, the ever-present bow made her an instant favorite within the cosplay community. At fan conventions like Comic-Con and D23 Expo in the years following the film's release, Merida cosplayers became a common and celebrated sight. This form of fan engagement is powerful because it is self-perpetuating. Every stunning cosplay photo shared online acts as free, high-impact marketing, keeping the character visually relevant. The pop culture impact of her design was immense. Fans produced a torrent of fan art reinterpreting Merida in countless styles and scenarios, sharing their creations on platforms like DeviantArt and Tumblr, which were dominant at the time. This user-generated content kept the film in the cultural conversation long after the initial social media campaigns run by the studio had ended. In more recent years, this nostalgia-fueled engagement has migrated to new platforms. TikTok challenges featuring archery skills or recreations of iconic scenes from the film continue to emerge, demonstrating the character's lasting appeal to a new generation. This persistent, fan-driven celebration of the film is a testament to the deep connection audiences formed with its world and its hero. The behind-the-scenes story of the film's creation only added to this engagement, as fans who admired Brenda Chapman's original vision often created art and discussions that celebrated the film's powerful maternal themes. This vibrant fan culture is not just a heartwarming postscript, it is the engine of a highly profitable, long-term business model. From a financial perspective, the world of merchandise and engagement is where a film's IP valuation is truly stress-tested and monetized over the long haul. The entire strategy revolves around two core financial concepts: licensed product royalty and fan-driven ROI. The primary mechanism for generating this revenue is licensing and royalties. Disney, as the IP holder, doesn't manufacture most of these products itself. Instead, it licenses the rights to use the Brave characters and imagery to third-party companies, toy makers like Mattel, apparel companies, publishers, and so on. In exchange, the studio receives a licensed product royalty, which is typically a percentage of the product's wholesale price, often estimated to be in the 8% to 15% range. For every Merida doll or t-shirt sold, a portion of the revenue flows directly back to Disney. This creates a diversified, low-risk, high-margin stream of income. The projected sales for a new Disney princess are astronomical. In the first year alone, it's estimated that merchandise sales for a newly integrated princess can generate upwards of 200 million in retail sales, translating into a significant licensed product royalty for the studio. The importance of retail partnerships cannot be overstated. Securing prime shelf space at major global retailers like Walmart, Target, and of course the Disney Store is crucial. These partnerships are multi-million-dollar deals that guarantee visibility and drive volume. A film like Brave benefits from Disney's immense leverage, ensuring its products are prominently featured during key retail seasons like holidays and back-to-school. This symbiotic relationship creates a powerful feedback loop. High retail visibility drives sales, which in turn generates a substantial licensed product royalty stream. Over the course of a decade, the cumulative earnings from these royalties can be staggering. Key stat: for a top-tier IP like a Disney princess, the cumulative branded toy revenue over a 30-year period can easily exceed the original film's entire global box office gross. This entire financial structure is built on a foundation of fan-driven ROI. The merchandise doesn't sell in a vacuum, it sells because of the deep emotional connection fans have with the story and characters. The endless cycle of cosplay, fan art, and social media nostalgia isn't just a cultural phenomenon, it's a powerful and continuous marketing campaign that costs the studio virtually nothing. This organic buzz maintains brand relevance and creates persistent demand for merchandise. A fan-driven ROI is, in many ways, the most valuable form of return because it is authentic and self-sustaining. The merchandise ROI is therefore a function of this engagement. The more fans cosplay as Merida, the more demand there is for official costumes. The more they share nostalgic clips, the more likely a new generation is to ask for a Merida doll. This long-tail profitability, fueled by a passionate fan base, is the ultimate goal of a character-driven IP and a key component of Brave's overall financial success. To fully appreciate the cultural and financial impact of Brave, we must first unpack the narrative engine at its core. A detailed Brave plot summary and story breakdown reveals a film that is deceptively complex, blending classic fairy tale structure with a profoundly modern emotional core. This is not just a story about a princess and a curse. It is a meticulous screenplay analysis of a family in crisis, a deep dive into the clash between tradition and self-determination, and a visual spectacle that pushed the boundaries of computer animation. This movie breakdown will now proceed chronologically, exploring how the film's narrative and its breathtaking visual effects work in tandem to tell one of Pixar's most unique and emotionally resonant stories. The film opens with a flashback, a crucial piece of storytelling that establishes the central family dynamic and foreshadows the dangers to come. A young Merida plays hide-and-seek with her mother, Queen Elinor, in the lush Scottish wilderness. The scene is bathed in a warm, idyllic light, a stark contrast to the gloomier tones that will dominate much of the film. It is Merida's birthday, and her father, King Fergus, gifts her a small, masterfully crafted bow. Elinor voices her disapproval, calling a bow not fit for a princess, establishing the core ideological conflict in the film's first 2 minutes. This perfect family moment is shattered when Mordu, the legendary demon bear, attacks. Fergus holds the beast off, losing his leg in the process, while Elinor and Merida escape. This opening sequence is a masterstroke. It establishes Fergus's boisterous, protective nature, Elinor's concern with propriety and safety, and the primal threat of the untamed wilderness that will loom over the entire narrative. The cinematography here is key, presenting the world as both a beautiful playground and a place of sudden, terrifying violence. We then flash forward to a teenage Merida, and a complete story breakdown of her character is laid out in one of the film's most iconic scenes explained. In a breathtaking montage, we see Merida ride her powerful Clydesdale, Angus, through the forest, practicing her archery with uncanny skill. The visual style is on full display here. The camera swoops and glides, tracking her at exhilarating speeds, perfectly capturing the feeling of untamed freedom she craves. The visual effects team at Pixar went to extraordinary lengths, developing new software to simulate the physics of Merida's famously wild red hair and the complex movement of her dress and Angus's muscles. This sequence is pure character expression. It tells us everything we need to know about who Merida is and what she values before she has even engaged in a major conflict. Her narration, "I'm the princess, I'm the example. I've got duties, responsibilities, expectations," is delivered with a sarcastic weariness that immediately makes her relatable. This juxtaposition of her inner monologue with the visual expression of her true self is the film's central movie theme. The conflict between one's internal identity and the external role society expects them to play. The inciting incident arrives with the proclamation that the 3 allied clans are coming to present their firstborn sons as suitors for Merida's hand in marriage. This is where the genre of the film fully embraces the fairy tale trope, but with a modern, rebellious twist. The arrival of the lords, the brawny Lord MacGuffin, the scrawny Lord Mackintosh, and the perpetually angry Lord Dingwall and their sons provides much of the film's early comedy. A behind-the-scenes look at the film's development reveals that these clans were designed to represent different, exaggerated aspects of Scottish archetypes. The ensuing Highland Games, meant to determine which suitor will win Merida's hand, culminates in another of the film's most memorable scenes. The competition is archery. After the suitors put on a comically inept display, Merida, draped in a restrictive formal gown, strides onto the field. In a moment of pure defiance, she declares she will be shooting for my own hand, as she is the firstborn of her clan. She then proceeds to hit a perfect bullseye on the first 2 targets and for the final shot splits her rival's arrow down the middle. This act of public rebellion is a point of no return. It is a direct and humiliating rejection of her mother's authority and the kingdom's traditions. The fallout from this event is the emotional core of the first act. The argument between Merida and Elinor in the tapestry room is a raw, painful, and brilliantly animated depiction of a family argument. The screenplay analysis of this scene is crucial. The dialogue is sharp and personal. Elinor accuses Merida of being selfish, while Merida accuses Elinor of trying to turn her into someone she's not. The argument escalates until Elinor, in a fit of rage, throws Merida's beloved bow into the fireplace. In retaliation, Merida takes a sword and slashes the family tapestry, cutting the image of her mother away from the rest of the family. The symbolism is potent and devastating. Both have attacked the most cherished symbol of the other's identity. This explosive conflict, driven by years of resentment, is the catalyst for the entire magical plot. It is a powerful example of movie themes being externalized through action. The argument is so painful and real that it feels inspired by a true story, capturing the universal pain of a generational divide. Fleeing the castle in tears, Merida is led deep into the woods by the mystical will-o'-the-wisps, ethereal blue spirits that, according to legend, lead travelers to their fate. This is where the film's genre insights become clear, as it transitions from a historical family drama into a full-blown magical fantasy, similar movies being dark fables like those from the Brothers Grimm. The wisps lead her to a small, isolated cottage. Inside, she finds an eccentric old woman who is ostensibly a woodcarver but is revealed to be a powerful and mischievous witch. A detailed CGI breakdown of the witch's cottage would reveal a treasure trove of Pixar Easter eggs, including a carving of the Pizza Planet truck, connecting this ancient Scottish tale to the broader Pixar universe. Desperate to change her fate, Merida begs the witch for a spell to change her mother. The witch agrees, baking an enchanted cake that she promises will do just that. Merida returns to the castle and presents the cake to Elinor as a peace offering. Elinor, hoping for reconciliation, cautiously takes a bite. The spell takes effect almost immediately, but not in the way Merida intended. Elinor doesn't change her mind, she changes her form, transforming into a massive black bear, the very creature her husband despises. This is the film's major plot turn and a source of both its greatest comedic moments and its darkest tension. The brave plot summary from this point forward is a race against time. Merida, with the help of her 3 mischievous younger brothers who also eat the cake and turn into bear cubs, must smuggle her mother out of the castle before she is discovered and killed by her own husband. This second act becomes a journey of forced empathy. Merida must now care for her mother in her helpless, non-verbal state. She learns to fish for her, protect her, and most importantly, see her not as a queen but as a living being who is scared and vulnerable. The scenes of Elinor the bear learning to catch salmon are played for laughs, but beneath the surface it's the beginning of a profound healing process. This entire narrative arc is crucial for the full movie explained. Without this period of forced bonding, the emotional resolution of the ending would not be earned. The story successfully sets up the central mystery that will be resolved in the film's climax. What exactly does it mean to mend the bond torn by pride? From a financial perspective, the narrative and visual strategy of Brave represented a calculated but significant gamble for Pixar and Disney. An investor analyzing the project in its early stages would have seen a complex risk-return ratio, driven by a high-cost, high-concept story that deliberately broke from the studio's proven formula. The financial journey begins with the script development cost. For an original Pixar film, this is not a simple script acquisition cost. The screenplay for a film like Brave undergoes years of writing, rewriting, storyboarding, and internal review. This iterative process, known as the Pixar Brain Trust, is famously rigorous and expensive. While a typical high-level screenwriter might earn a few $100,000 to $1 million, the total script development cost for a Pixar project, factoring in the salaries of an entire team of story artists, writers, and directors over several years, could be estimated to be in the range of $5 million to $10 million before a single frame is animated. This is a substantial upfront investment in the story's foundation, representing the studio's belief that a bulletproof script is the best form of risk mitigation. The creative risk associated with Brave's core premise was arguably the biggest financial variable. In 2012, Pixar's brand was built on buddy comedies Toy Story, Monsters, Inc., high-concept sci-fi WALL-E, and nostalgic adventures Up. Brave was a departure on multiple fronts. It was a period piece, a fairy tale, and most crucially, a female-led story centered on a complex mother-daughter relationship. From a purely commercial standpoint, this was uncharted territory for the studio. Would male audiences show up for a princess movie? Would the darker, more mature themes of family strife resonate as broadly as the humor of Finding Nemo? this represented a significant creative risk. The studio was banking on the idea that a well-told, emotionally authentic story would transcend demographic concerns. A negative answer to these questions could have resulted in a film that underperformed, making its high budget difficult to recoup and potentially damaging the infallible Pixar brand. The risk-return ratio was therefore sharp. If the film connected, it could open up a massive new quadrant for the studio. If it failed, it would be a costly and public misstep. Compounding this risk was the film's immense visual ambition, which directly translated into a massive VFX budget. Brave was, at the time, one of the most technologically complex animated films ever made. The two primary challenges were Merida's hair and the lush, organic Scottish landscape. A staggering 1,500 individual curly strands of hair were simulated for Merida's head, requiring the development of new software and an immense amount of processing power. Similarly, creating the film's world, with its dense forests, misty moors, and detailed castle textures, required a level of detail that pushed the limits of the technology of its era. This commitment to visual excellence significantly inflated the VFX budget, which would have constituted a massive portion of the total $185 million production cost. From a financial standpoint, this was a high-wire act. The ROI versus visual complexity is a key metric here. The studio bet that these stunning visuals would be a major marketing hook and would justify the premium ticket price, thereby creating a favorable risk-return ratio. The post-production burn rate, the daily cost of rendering these complex scenes, would have been astronomical. This level of spending on visual perfection demonstrated a clear strategy. Dazzle the audience with unparalleled craftsmanship, ensuring that even if the story's themes were niche, the film would be a must-see spectacle. This high-cost, high-risk approach to both its narrative and its visuals was a defining feature of Brave's production, making its ultimate commercial and critical success all the more remarkable. Before we arrive at the film's final, climactic moments, it is essential to address the lingering questions and mysteries that have fueled over a decade of discussion among fans. This special full movie explained segment will function as a case file addendum, directly answering some of the most searched queries and dissecting the fan theories that have sprung up around Brave. These are the details that give the film its remarkable depth and rewatchability. A major question that has dominated fan discussions since 2012 is, why didn't Merida's brothers, the triplets, turn back into humans at the same time as Elinor? This is a subtle but brilliant piece of storytelling that many viewers miss on first viewing, and it's a key part of this movie breakdown. Spoilers ahead for those who haven't noticed this detail. In the film's jubilant final moments after Elinor has been transformed back, the triplets Harris, Hubert, and Hamish burst into the room, still in their bear cub forms. It's only after their father, King Fergus, scoops them up into a hug that they too transform back into their human selves, albeit without any clothes. The reason for this delay is thematically crucial. The witch's spell required a bond torn by pride to be mended. The central broken bond was between Merida and Elinor. Once that was repaired through Merida's heartfelt apology, the core of the curse was broken, allowing Elinor to transform. However, the triplets' transformation was tied to a secondary, unspoken broken bond, the one between them and their father. Throughout the film, King Fergus treats them as mischievous pests. In the final scene, overwhelmed with joy and relief, he embraces the bear cubs with pure, unconditional love, unknowingly mending his own bond with his sons and thereby breaking their part of the spell. It's a beautiful, understated narrative parallel that reinforces the film's central theme of family reconciliation. Another highly searched query is, what is the real meaning of the will-o'-the-wisps? From an analytical perspective, these mystical blue sprites are one of the film's most powerful and ambiguous symbols. In Scottish folklore, wisps were often seen as mischievous or malevolent spirits that led travelers astray to their doom. Brave cleverly subverts this. On the surface, they appear to be benevolent guides leading Merida to the witch's cottage and later guiding her back to the castle. However, many fan theories argue for a more complex interpretation. The wisps led Merida to a spell that nearly destroyed her family, and they also led her to the ruins of Mordu's kingdom, a place of immense sorrow. The dominant theory is that the wisps are neutral agents of fate. They don't lead people to good or bad outcomes, but simply to the path they are destined to walk to learn the lesson they need to learn. For Merida, that path required a terrible mistake to achieve true wisdom. For Mordu, his path led to destruction. The wisps are therefore a physical manifestation of destiny itself, unpredictable, unjudging, and ultimately inescapable. They are a core element of the full movie Explained, representing the magical, untamable forces of the world. Finally, many viewers were left asking a crucial logistical question. How did the witch know exactly what spell to give Merida? The film presents her as a quirky, slightly incompetent woodcarver who dabbles in magic, but her spell is perfectly, poetically tailored to Merida's problem. This has given rise to one of the most compelling fan theories outside of the Pixar theory. This theory posits that the witch is not just a random magic user but a former queen or princess who faced a similar trial. The evidence lies in her cottage, which is filled with bear carvings, suggesting a deep, personal connection to the bear curse. The theory suggests that she or someone she loved was once cursed in the same way, and she only learned the cure mending the bond of pride after it was too late. Now, she spends her days carving bears as a constant reminder of her past failure. When Merida arrives, asking for a spell to change her mother, the witch gives her the exact same cursed cake, knowing it is the only way to force Merida to learn the lesson of empathy and save her family in a way the witch herself could not. In this interpretation, the witch is not mischievous. She is a tragic, wise figure orchestrating a dangerous but necessary lesson. While the breathtaking animation of Brave forms its bedrock, the film's soul resides in its characters and the brilliant cast who gave them voice. Pixar's casting strategy was a masterclass in prioritizing authentic performance over sheer marquee value, resulting in some of modern animation's most beloved portrayals. At the heart of this was the serendipitous casting of Scottish actress Kelly Macdonald as Princess Merida. Originally slated for Reese Witherspoon, Macdonald's authentic accent and her ability to convey both fiery defiance and deep vulnerability brought a crucial grounding to the character, making her a relatable, reluctant hero and an instant fan favorite. Opposite her, the legendary Emma Thompson was a casting coup as Queen Elinor. Thompson expertly embodied the righteous matriarch archetype, infusing her performance with an undercurrent of warmth and anxiety that prevented the character from ever becoming a simple villain. Her non-verbal acting as a bear, conveying a full range of emotions through mere grunts and gestures, was a testament to her immense talent. The nuanced, believable mother-daughter dynamic she and Macdonald created is the emotional engine of the entire film. This masterful casting had a profound and lasting financial impact. The complex characters they built fueled a decade of fan theories and discussions, which became a powerful tool for increasing the long-term IP lifecycle value. The narrative's deliberate ambiguity, leaving questions about the witch's backstory or the nature of the will-o'-the-wisps, was not a flaw but a brilliant financial strategy. It transformed audiences into active participants, generating a constant stream of free marketing through what-if videos and online forums. This sustained conversation is a critical component of the fan-driven ROI that keeps the film relevant on streaming and fuels merchandise sales. Ultimately, the brilliant casting was the initial investment that created characters so compelling that the ensuing fan engagement has acted as a perpetual marketing machine, maximizing the IP's value long after its theatrical run. Rounding out the royal family is the boisterous and big-hearted King Fergus, brought to life by Scottish comedy icon Billy Connolly. Connolly's casting was a masterstroke of character alignment. His own larger-than-life personality and natural comedic timing were a perfect match for the one-legged, bear-hating king. A character-explained breakdown of Fergus reveals him as the jovial warrior, a man who provides love and levity but struggles with the emotional complexities his wife and daughter are navigating. Connolly's performance is a source of immense warmth and humor, making Fergus an instantly lovable figure. His ongoing, obsessive quest for revenge against Mordu is both a running gag and a poignant reminder of the sacrifices he made for his family. For many movie fans, Connolly's Fergus is a highlight of the film, a performance that makes this classic movie one of Pixar's most rewatchable movies. The supporting cast is a veritable who's who of British and Scottish talent, including Julie Walters as the eccentric witch and a trio of celebrated actors Robbie Coltrane, Kevin McKidd, and Craig Ferguson as the three visiting lords. Each of these actors brought a distinct flavor to their roles, creating a rich and believable ensemble that made the world of Brave feel lived-in and authentic. This meticulous attention to casting, favoring authentic voices and powerhouse performers over generic Hollywood stars, is a crucial part of the film's behind-the-scenes story and a key reason for its enduring appeal as a timeless movie. From a financial perspective, the casting of Brave represents a shrewd and efficient model of cost allocation, one that prioritized performance over expensive A-list star power in a way that maximized both artistic integrity and ROI, return on investment. The studio's strategy centered on assembling a cast of highly respected, theatrically trained actors rather than chasing the biggest box office names, a decision that had significant implications for the film's budget and profitability. The marketing campaign for Brave in 2012 was a masterclass in strategic positioning. The campaign began over a year before its release with an atmospheric teaser trailer that established a darker, more epic tone, sparking immediate fan intrigue and differentiating it from typical Pixar fare. As the June 22 release date neared, a multi-platform assault saturated the media. The official movie trailer skillfully balanced the film's adventure, comedy, and family conflict, while its use of powerful original songs gave it a distinct sonic identity. A barrage of differentiated TV spots, an ubiquitous poster campaign featuring the iconic image of Merida, and a full-scale press tour with the cast ensured awareness was at a fever pitch for its theatrical release. This promotional blitz was bolstered by a brilliant casting strategy that prioritized performance over expensive star power. By selecting acclaimed actors like Kelly Macdonald, Emma Thompson, and Billy Connolly, Pixar ensured authentic, powerful performances. From a financial perspective, this was a masterstroke of budget allocation. The total salary outlay for the cast was estimated to be a relatively small fraction, less than 10% of the massive $185 million production budget. This efficient cost allocation, likely involving limited back-end participation deals, allowed Pixar to dedicate the majority of its capital to the groundbreaking animation. The studio rightly calculated that for this story, the true stars were the visuals and the characters themselves. This synergy of a meticulously executed marketing campaign and a financially savvy casting model was a key driver of the film's success. From a financial standpoint, the marketing and distribution of Brave was a colossal undertaking, a significant investment designed to maximize the film's theatrical earning potential and secure a strong marketing spend ROI. The entire operation was governed by the formidable P&A budget prints and advertising, which for a blockbuster of this scale in 2012 would have been a massive figure. The P&A budget is a separate cost from the production budget and covers all expenses related to marketing the film and distributing physical or digital prints to theaters. For a tentpole release like Brave, this P&A budget would have been estimated to be in the range of $100 million to $150 million for its global campaign. This enormous sum was allocated across various channels, with the largest portion dedicated to media buying costs. In 2012, this meant securing expensive primetime television slots for TV spots, full-page ads in major publications, a massive online ad campaign, and the physical costs of billboards and posters. The goal of this spend was simple: to achieve market saturation and make Brave an unmissable event. The efficiency of this spend is the core of calculating the marketing spend ROI. Once the film hit theaters, the revenue generation began, but it was governed by the complex formula of the theatrical revenue split. When an audience member buys a ticket, that money does not go directly to the studio. Theaters take a significant cut. In that era, a typical theatrical revenue split for a major blockbuster in the domestic market would be structured on a sliding scale. In the opening weeks, the studio might receive as much as 60–70% of the box office gross. This percentage would then decline each subsequent week, eventually settling closer to 30–40%. On average, across its entire domestic run, a studio could expect to receive roughly 50% of the final box office total. For Brave's $237 million domestic gross, this means Disney's take was approximately $118 million. Furthermore, the entire process was managed by the distributor, Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. For their services booking theaters, managing the logistics of the release, and collecting revenues, the distributor charges distribution fees. Historically, this fee is often calculated as a percentage of the gross rentals, the studio's share of the box office. This fee could range from 8% to 15% depending on the territory and the deal. These distribution fees are a crucial operating expense that eats into the final profit margin. So to calculate the theatrical ROI, one must weigh the studio's share of the box office against the massive P&A budget. Let's use conservative estimates. If the global P&A budget was $125 million and the film grossed $540 million worldwide, the studio's share after the theatrical split might be around $250 million. After subtracting the P&A spend, the theatrical run itself would have yielded a profit of roughly $125 million. This represents a marketing spend ROI of approximately 2x. A solid but not spectacular return on the marketing investment alone. Key stat: for a major blockbuster in the 2010s, a marketing spend ROI of 3x or 4x on the P&A budget from theatrical revenue alone was considered a home run. This makes it clear that while theatrical success was crucial for establishing the brand, the true long-term profitability of Brave would come from subsequent revenue streams like home video, merchandise, and streaming, where the profit margins are significantly higher. To close this case file, we must place Brave within the context of its time, comparing it to its greatest genre rivals and box office competition. Fans of How to Train Your Dragon's epic world-building and Tangled's heartwarming dynamics will find Brave a compelling bridge, delivering a story that stands as a unique pillar among animation's fan favorites. When analyzing similar movies, the most direct comparison is DreamWorks' How to Train Your Dragon. Both films feature headstrong protagonists in rugged fantasy settings who defy their parents to change their world. However, where How to Train Your Dragon focuses on an external friendship, Brave turns inward, making its central conflict a more intimate and complex family struggle. Similarly, while Brave is often seen as Pixar's answer to Disney's own Tangled, it deviates crucially in its antagonist. Tangled's mother Gothel is a classic villain, whereas Brave's Queen Elinor is a loving mother whose conflict with her daughter stems from misguided protection, not malice. This choice to forego a traditional villain in favor of a nuanced family drama sets Brave apart from nearly all of its peers. This unique positioning was critical, as its 2012 theatrical release placed it in a brutal blockbuster season against titans like The Avengers and The Dark Knight Rises. From a financial perspective, this created a high saturation risk. Disney's strategy was to target the family audience underserved by the summer's action blockbusters. This market share projection proved successful. Brave's final box office breakdown of $540 million worldwide was a significant victory, proving a different kind of hero could thrive. However, a budget vs. performance analysis reveals the pressures of the high-cost Pixar model. While Brave's theatrical run returned a solid 2.9 times its $185 million budget, its rival Madagascar 3 returned over 5 times its budget. This highlights why Brave's long-term profitability was so dependent on ancillary revenues like merchandise and streaming. While its theatrical ROI benchmarks were respectable, its ultimate financial success was a testament to overcoming immense competitive pressure and establishing a powerful, enduring IP whose value extended far beyond the box office. If you enjoyed this historical analysis, please like this video and subscribe to Film Finance for more deep dives into Hollywood's financial past. What classic movie's financial story should we investigate next? Let us know in the comments below.